You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission meeting to order of June 4th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Dave Doherty.
Here.
Can you hear it?
Can y'all hear me all right? Can you hear me now? How about now?
I don't hear it.
Can everyone hear? No. How about now? All right, we're going to go with that, and if we have a problem, we can change it here shortly.
Dave Doherty.
Here.
Martha Casabon. Pug Lauren. Marcus Hines. Todd Richard. Bernie Willie. Bill Matthews. Jimmy Davis. Dave Manella. Dale Mackey. Ron Randolph. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have your phones and pagers. Please put them on vibrate or turn them off so that it doesn't interrupt the meeting. If you disagree with the findings of this commission, there are appeal cords over here to my right on the end of the railing. Please fill one out and turn it into staff, and it will be appealed to the parish council. Same is true with speaker cards. They're over here to the right. If you wish to speak on any of the cases, please fill one out and turn it into staff. Each side will have 10 minutes initial presentation with a 5-minute rebuttal. Once your case has been heard, please do not stay in the chambers here and try and discuss things as it interferes with the meeting. And even if you go out into the lobby, please go on outside because the sound does come back into the building here. Mr. Randolph, will all stand for invocation?
Thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives this day that we never seen before, and you brought us thus far safe with your grace and mercy. Bless this parish and zoning commission tonight and decisions we have to make and all those that's present. And all these blessings we ask in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Mackey, pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to have a motion to open the agenda.
So move.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Willie, seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. At the end of this meeting tonight, we are losing one of our commissioners. Mr. Dale Mackey has turned his resignation in to be effective at the end of this meeting. And I just want to kind of thank him for the year's service. Dale is a retired electrical engineer. He received his Bachelor of Science from Tulane and his Master's from LSU. He worked for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and also has his own private business. He's married to his wife Nina for 21 years and has 2 grown children. And Dale has served on the Planning Commission since June of 2002. Now, I want to thank Mr. Mackey for his service over the years and just acknowledge that he is resigning and for all of his hard work. And Dale, you got anything you'd like to comment? Okay, all right, all right. All right, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 7th, 2013 meeting. It was in your packet. Has everyone had an opportunity to review and any corrections need to be made? I'll accept the motion.
I make the motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Staff, we have any cases that need to be postponed?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It is item 7 on the agenda, ZC 01-03-028, and we have someone here present to request to have the case postponed.
Okay, thank you. Any other cases? Any other? Okay, we need a motion. Zoning case 01-03-028, major amendment to a plan unit development overlay. It's 161.115 acres. Petitioners GEC Incorporated, owners ASBE Fund, parcel located at the northwest intersection of I-12 and Louisiana Highway 1088, council districts 5 and 7. I'll accept a motion to postpone till next month's meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I believe that the representative of GEC Inc. is here and would like to make a statement if I'm,
Okay,
and I'd like to move this one up to the first case to allow him to make a statement.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman who is here present is just here to make the request to postpone the case.
What are we gonna
Okay,
do?
Courtney, you didn't want to say anything? I understood you might want to say something. No, oh, I'm sorry. Then I move to postpone.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Randolph. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Public hearing appears. All right, item 1 is zoning case 13-06-039. Existing zoning suburban, A3 suburban district, proposed zoning's A3 suburban district, and mobile home overlay, or excuse me, manufactured housing overlay. This comes to us by Parish Council motion of 4-3. It's 21,000 square feet. Parcel located on the south side of Ball Street, west of Iron Street, being Lot 9, Square 16, Hillcrest Club Estates, Edition Number 2, Ward 10, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. There are several mobile homes in the vicinity, including one on the lot directly adjacent to the subject parcel. Staff does not oppose the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Pardon me?
I'm sorry, which one are you on?
This, the first one, zoning case 13-06-039. You wish to speak on it?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Yeah, I think with the area having several mobile homes in the vicinity, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Davis to approve, seconded by Mr. Hines. Please vote. Motion carries. Item 2, zoning case 13-06-040. The existing zoning is A1 Suburban District. The proposed zoning is A3 Suburban District. It's 4.39 acres. The petitioner is Michael Caruso. The owner is Dale Michael Caruso. Parcel located on the northeast corner of Louisiana Highway 1080 and Louisiana Highway 1040, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. The site is surrounded by residential uses on properties of various sizes. However, staff does not have any compelling reason to recommend approval, considering that the surrounding area is zoned A1. Staff recommends denial.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Please come forward and state your name. And if you haven't filled out a speaker card, please do so and turn it in to staff.
Yes, I'm Michael Caruso. I own the property out in Folsom, and I have some photographs I'd like to pass out if I could of the. These are photographs of what's already existing. the property was developed in 1 acre tracts, all the way up to mine, joining together with mine. And this is also a official map from the survey company showing how the lots are laid out in 1 acre tracts with single residence homes built. And I'm just trying to continue the same density with my 4 acres, 4.39. It would actually be 3 acres and then 1 at 1.39. I just want to continue the same conformity, and I'm just requesting that the zoning board would approve that. Here is a map just showing what I'm requesting. If I could-
No.
The photographs are going to show the Highway 1080, which is also North Factory Road, showing the houses, each house that's already built on 1 acre tracts. I think it's like 5, and then there's one house on a 3/4 of an acre, and there's another house that's 2.66 acres. And then you'll see the street of North Factory, Highway 1080, and you'll see my property is connected, is joined to it, and you'll see it's all wooded, it's undeveloped.
So all these pictures are homes that are located on 1 acre tracts?
Those are the homes that are there existing now.
This property adjoins yours?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's all, it would actually just keep in conformity with everything that's already laid out. It would actually be odd to try to change the pattern, the density of what's already there. And so we just want to, open that up to keep the same pattern, keep the same density of the 1 acre tracts with single family dwellings.
Okay. All right, is that all you need to present for right now?
That's for right now.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We'll see if there's anyone in the audience to oppose
Okay.
this, and then we'll hear them, and I'll bring it back to the commission. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak against zoning case 13-060-040? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the council. Mr. Davis?
A question for Helen. With a smaller lot size, obviously with the 1 acre parcels that he's talking about, I don't understand why first of all, I don't understand why you're not requesting A2, Mr. Caruso. A2 zoning, which is 1 acre lots.
Please come to the mic.
Please come up to the lots, but. Which would be in,
At first, we were thinking about doing an A2, but it would throw everything out because of the depth of the lots. The depth is like 400 feet or 410, something like that, deep, and the frontage is like 100-foot road frontage. That's what's already in existence. So if we go to A2, it would have to be 150-foot road frontage and then 410 deep. We can't change the depth. So it would actually be another, I couldn't split it up to 4 lots. It would be like 2.5 lots, yeah.
but you would understand that this A3 zoning would be surrounded by A1 zoning. Currently, it's all zoned A1.
Yes,
And you're requesting this panel to go ahead and make
Right.
a request for A3 zoning, which would be a much higher density than the existing zoning that there is, even though you're saying that in the past, the zoning realistically was A2. Is that correct?
it was actually, from what I understand, it was a A3. I mean, what am I saying here? Hold on just a second. It was actually like a A3, if I understand it right, the width, the road frontage is a minimum of like 90 to 100 feet. And so the depth, to make it a 1 acre tract, we need to have that kind of a road frontage, like a 90 to 100 feet road frontage. And that's what's already laid out on those existing 1 acre tracts.
Helen, you have any insight on this?
Yeah, actually, you know, he's been working with Regan. I'm gonna let Regan answer the question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he's got the square footage to go A2, but he doesn't have the lot frontage based on the shape of his parcel. So he can't get 4 lots if he goes to A2. He could get 4 lots if he goes to A3,
Could he get,
based on the minimum regulations for lot size for A3.
If he's granted A3, what's the maximum number of lots based on the configuration of his property?
It's probably still going to be 4 because the frontage is 100 feet for A3, which
So
is
that
what
would
he's
still be
showing.
the maximum number of lots you could build?
Right. Now, the density is higher for A3.
Right.
But the maximum lots he's going to have, unless he does a minor subdivision, is going to be what he's showing.
Okay, thank you.
This lot doesn't have 100 feet.
So if he stayed A2, how many lots could he have there? 3?
I believe 3. It depends on how you carve it up, but I haven't seen that layout to verify.
Okay, you're saying that he's got, according to this, everything is surrounded by A1. And A1 is what, 5 acres?
Yes, but a lot of those were already zoned after the lots already existed as 1 acre
It was
lots.
grandfathered in there.
So they were zoned as part of the comprehensive plan.
So, in other words, in reality, he is not surrounded by A1.
Not in reality,
Okay,
but the
thank
zoning
you.
is such.
That's what I thought, yeah.
He was surrounded by 3 sides by A1 though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Willie, you got anything else?
I guess a question of Mike. Like say, the area was pretty much A1 or rural back in the day, but then it went to A1 until those grandfathered lots
They
came along.
grandfathered those,
And they are
right.
pretty much A2 lots. What's your intention on the, you said divide it into 3 parcels?
But just to take the.
You said divide it into 2 parcels, so you should have enough road frontage.
No, 4. It would be 3 1 acre tracts, and then 1 would be an odd, 1.39. So it'd
Okay.
be like 3 equal, exactly 1 acre, 1 would be 1.39. That would be 4 tracts.
You know, I had a chance to talk to the councilman about this, and, you know, he's aware that all the A1 in the area, and he's satisfied with A2. And, you know, I feel like I'm in that direction as well, simply because of all the A1 around it. And that would, A2 would give you 3 lots, I mean.
I don't
'cause
know
it
if
looks
I
like
could get
you're not dividing
3.
it to children or anything.
Well, I do have children, but I don't think I can get 3 out of the road frontage. It wouldn't divide up to 3. I don't believe.
Helen's gonna have to help us out with this.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
the minimum lot width would be 150 feet under A2. However, he could do 2 lots in the front and 2 in the rear with a road in the middle.
Under A2?
He already has 4.39 acres,
Yeah.
so he could use the 0.39 acre to do the road.
So you could do 4 lots with A2.
But he's just gonna have to build a road up to parish standards and go through the minor subdivision.
Right.
Make it a public road?
It's not gonna be a public road, it's just part of the minor subdivision process.
Okay.
We wasn't interested in building a road at all, just to kind of stay in conformity with the other tracks that are already. It would be a lot easier to do it that way, just to, a 100-foot frontage, with no road dividing.
You got anything else? I mean, y'all got some other people who'd like to speak? Mr. Randolph, your light was on? Okay, Mr. Matthews?
I would just attach it to this. I would just actually keep those 3
As soon as it gets finished.
3 tracks. And the other would just be kept. Yeah, because I have a barn. I'm added to that.
Oh, he's got to, he got no choice to do it.
Mr. Crusoe?
Yes.
I know you'd like to build 4 lots, and I know you don't want to build a road. A lot of people want a lot of things out of the zoning that maybe it's too much.
She just brought something up to correct.
All right.
The last odd 1.39 would not be, it doesn't have enough road frontage. I would keep that connected to the corner that I already have. So it would actually just be 3 1-acre tracts. The odd piece of 1.39 would just be kept connected to what I've already have.
Yeah, I'd
You
like,
want to show that?
So
Show
we're
me
saying
what you got.
A2 would work?
Just 3 1-acre tracts is really.
A2. I've just got a problem kicking this all the way up to A3, when everything around it is A1, even if some of it is non-conforming and has been there in the past. The photographs that you showed us, first of all, those aren't photographs of your lot. Those are photographs of lot in the vicinity.
The 1-acre tracts with the houses.
Okay, where exactly are those
They're,
houses?
well, the photograph, if you look, looking down the street, you'll see the houses lined side by side.
Okay,
that's
that's
all
north on 1080?
That's right next to me, yes. That's
Okay.
on the same,
Thank you.
same
Thank you.
stretch of
That's what I
property.
needed. All right, those lots were there before the comprehensive rezoning then?
Yes.
Is that correct, Helen? Those houses?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But everything around you is A1, and to kick this to A3, that's just going to make other people come back and want A2 or A3 or whatever. I'm just having a real problem with that. I'm, not that we should worry about what a councilman wants or doesn't want, it's what the commission feels, but I have to agree with Bernie that A2 is probably the highest we ought to go on this.
Okay, Mr. Willie?
I just, to Mike, if you would like to request or amend your request to A2, we could probably vote on that, but
How many, I don't know
if
the
not,
distance.
we can go ahead and vote on the A3 if you like.
What would that be? So it'd be like 2. And then a piece.
Yeah, Bernie,
Could I do 2?
if we deny it,
It would actually be more than.
kick it back to the councilman and let him
Yeah.
deal with it.
See if he wants to amend his
Okay,
request.
well, but,
We can amend it.
Okay. So the record shows,
We're just trying to figure out how much road frontage we would actually get.
Would you rather us postpone this till next month?
No, I think just amend it to A2 if that's,
okay, if he
Okay.
is,
Mr. Chairman, I move it be approved for A2.
second.
We have a motion to approve for A2 per the petitioner's request, seconded by Mr. Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Caruso.
thank you.
Item 3, zoning case 13-06-041. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District, A2 Suburban District, and A4 Single Family Residential District. The proposed zoning is A1 Suburban District, A2 Suburban District, A4 Single Family Residential District, and Manufactured Housing Overlay. The agenda has 197.58 acres. This comes to us by council motion of 4/4/2013. The parcel is located within Hickory Hills subdivision, Slidell, Ward 8, District 9. Staff?
As originally requested, this request is to add a manufactured overlay over the entire Hickory Hills subdivision. However, after further discussion with the councilman, we're coming up with a new suggestion, which is being distributed to you at this time, to reduce the request and only add the mobile home overlay to the southern part of Hickory Hills, which would include Hickory Drive, south of Brett Drive, and Rose Street, as well as Dahlia Street. And staff would like to recommend approval.
Okay. Now, I want to be sure that everyone here in the audience, I got a feeling that most of you are here for this case. It's not a mobile home park. Okay, it's a mobile home overlay, which simply says that you can put a mobile home on an existing track, a manufactured home on an existing track. If it were a mobile home park, it would have to be zoned different and would have to come back to us for zoning and also probably go through planning to re-subdivide lots. This is not a mobile home park. I want everybody to understand that. Okay? I want to open the floor for discussion. For those that wish to speak, you have 10 minutes total. Not 10 minutes apiece, but 10 minutes total. Does anyone wish to come forward and speak? Yes, sir.
Barry Baggett, for the record. As most of y'all know, I represented that area for 24 years, from 1984 to 2008. I live very close to this subdivision, and I was there when the subdivision first got started. It's a mixture of mobile homes and stick-built houses, the brick houses. And when the subdivision first got developed, it was young people were moving in, they were putting their mobile homes, and it was a real nice subdivision. But what's happened lately is, and I've watched it, is land people are buying these lots, and I've seen them buy 2 lots and put 3 trailers on them, and they go into these auctions and they buying these $3,000 mobile homes. I wouldn't even call them mobile homes, trailers, and they put them on these lots. And last time I looked on the internet, we had 4 registered sex offenders living in there. And what's happened is these, I hate to say it, these people, these drug people are moving in these mobile homes, and now people's houses are starting to get burglarized in there. So, you know, I'm totally against this. I don't understand it. I talked to Gene. He said one person wants to put a mobile home. Can that person not go get a conditional use permit for that mobile home?
No, there's no conditional use permits.
Okay. I know we cut it back to the back section of Hickory Hills, but still I'm opposed to it. I think, you know, when I ride through Covington, I don't see any mobile homes. I ride through Mandeville, I don't see any mobile homes. Ride through Abita Springs, I don't see any mobile homes. You know, you know, the parish is growing. I think there's a place for them in the real rural areas and also in mobile home parks, but I don't think this is the spot for it. And we have a lot of people in my neighborhood that are really against this, and they've been calling me up constantly. I told them I'd go to the meeting. I explained to what it is. You know, there's a 40-acre tract that's got a sign on it. I said, it's not that piece of land. It's the back part of Hickory Hills subdivision. It's the southeast corner of the subdivision, right? I'm opposed to it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Baggett. Anyone else wish to speak against?
Against.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Baggett was speaking, so we're going to kind of do this in reverse against, and then I'll see if there's anybody that wants to speak for.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little confused about this, though. Helen, did you say this is not for the whole 197.58 acres?
It was originally advertised for the whole 197 acres. However, as I distributed, you know, now it's being requested to be reduced to only the streets that are shown on this little map that I passed around.
Most of this isn't even on the map that we got. It's not even on the map that we got.
No, I just passed a
No,
new-
no, the
Okay.
original map that I was looking at last week and trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yes.
Most of this is not even on that map.
I'm sorry, right now,
Most of this acreage is not even on this map.
According to the map that we
Yes, it
have in
is.
front of us, starting at Davis Landing Road, going all the way back down past Magnolia Drive on the right-hand side, you're saying that's not the 197.58 acres? This area here that you're talking about? I'm looking at mine
The
first.
197 acres is out.
Now, is that this portion here that you have squared?
Right here.
He wants to change the request from all of this to
No, it's more than that. It comes way down here.
So there's really no way for us to know exactly what portion he wants to have. And who is he? Excuse me.
Here. Jimmy.
Oh, so it's from the council, okay. But that's not what
think
was in
that-
this package, correct? So you're giving this out, you're giving this tonight, right while we're trying to make a meeting, when it was initially referenced for 197 acres and all these people are here.
This is how it was originally advertised, so I had to keep it in the packet. Let me repeat the information. Okay, if you take the original map that was distributed in your packet, what was sent to you in your original packet, and then what I just distributed this evening, if you look at the lower portion, you know, the request is to amend the original request and only to rezone or to add a mobile home overlay to below Brett Drive, Hickory Drive, Rose, and Dahlia.
Is this right down next to the river or not? It's got to be close, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's in a swamp, what they want to
Yeah.
do,
yeah. Okay.
from what I understand.
Right here.
He's not here.
That's what I'm gonna do. Dave
The
called.
end of Hickory is the swamp. The end of Brett,
Ellen?
is the swamp. I live on
Excuse,
Brett.
excuse me, sir. Sir,
Just
we
a
need to
moment.
direct all up to the dais, please.
I'm sure there's more than.
Gene amended this. Councilman Belisario, right?
When? No,
Okay.
no. Mr. Chairman, as a point of order and to be completely transparent, the information provided to the commission, the information provided to the public is inconsistent with a last-minute amendment. Former Councilmember Baggert, articulate, pointed out, there's no consistency. The commission is confused by it. I would make a motion to postpone till we get full information.
Okay. We have a motion to postpone, and that stops debate. Right?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
So we have a motion to postpone this until the next meeting. Please vote on the motion to postpone.
Can I,
Motion carries with 8 for and 1 nay. Okay, this will be heard at next month's meeting.
can, can I
That's
ask,
fine, sir, not a problem.
Right.
But
Please,
we need to be sure that everyone here in the audience knows exactly
Right.
what's being talked about. It's not the 197 acres. It's not a mobile home
we understand
park, okay? It's only about 40 acres, okay?
we don't want the 40 acres. Can we have a copy of the map that you're referring to?
Helen?
Even if it's not the 197, it affects the 197. I agree.
Okay.
No, we don't want it at all.
The motion is postponed, okay? We will see you next month.
So how will we know
Pardon? No, it will be the same case number. Same case number.
Mr. Chairman,
Be the
point of
first item
order.
on the agenda next month. Okay. Pardon? The meeting will be, hang on just a minute. The meeting will be Tuesday, June the 2nd. I'm sorry, July the 2nd. July the 2nd is the next zoning commission meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
That's the reason
Mr.
this
Chairman.
was
Mr. Chairman.
postponed till next month.
Mr. Chairman,
Please exit the building. Mr. Randolph.
I was just going to ask, before the audience really get out of order, just let them know exactly why we voted to postpone. Just because I think everybody's kind of confused, and I don't want them to be upset with the commission.
Okay. All right. And the reason this was postponed is because what was advertised was an error. And there was an amendment come back to the commission tonight, reducing it to approximately 40 acres. You didn't know about it. We didn't know about it till we got here. Okay? So the best thing to do so that we get it all done right, and you know exactly what's being talked about, is to postpone it until next month, July the 2nd's meeting. And that's what has been done. Yes, you can turn your speaker card in if you wish. If there's any further discussion, don't we notify the folks that turn in speaker cards, Helen?
Excuse me?
Anyone that has a speaker card,
I didn't hear you.
just a moment. It's only what? An appeal, okay, okay.
Can I request a community meeting on this subject?
Talk to your councilman, and he'll be probably more than happy to have a community meeting.
And is he the one that's pushing this?
He,
Oh, you don't know neither? Oh,
he received a request from a person that lives in this area for one lot on a mobile home or manufactured housing overlay. Okay, I don't know which one it is. Okay, none of the commissioners here know which one it is. Okay, that's the reason it's postponed, and we will deal with it next month.
The mother and the daughter want to live on 2 acres that they have, and Jeannie wants to have 40 acres, but then he wanted 197 acres, and then today he emails my son and says he doesn't even know there's 197 acres on the agenda. He can't explain to us what mobile home overlay means.
A mobile home overlay simply means that you can put a mobile home on a particular lot in an area. It depends on whether the whole area has a mobile home overlay or a particular lot has a mobile home overlay, or there may be 3 or 4 lots side by side or scattered through the area that have a mobile home or manufactured housing overlay. That's all that means. Okay, it is not a mobile home park at all. It's
We're
not a
going to
mobile
discuss
home park.
all of this at the next meeting. Understand, this is all going to be up for discussion at the next meeting.
Now, if y'all all want to have a public meeting or a community meeting, get a hold of Mr. Belisario, and if for some reason it can't be put together for the July, we can postpone it to the August.
Thank you.
Okay?
August.
Mr. Randolph, I believe that was your motion. Okay, we'll have to go back, and Mr. Manelli, you help me out here. We'll have to go back and reconsider the motion to postpone. And who seconded the motion? I did. Okay, Mr. Matthews seconded.
Mr. Chairman, I will withdraw my motion in light of Mr. Randolph's motion.
Okay. Mr. Manel's withdrawing his motion, and Mr. Matthews, you're withdrawing your second?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Randolph, you're making a motion to postpone until the August meeting.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to postpone until the August, let's see, we have to have a vote on
Yes.
but I mean, on the withdrawal, right? Okay, all right.
Can I ask you a question?
Just a moment. Okay, all right. The motion is to postpone until the August meeting, the first Tuesday in August, and we have a second. Let my secretary get back here. Mr. Randolph, there was a motion and a second. Mr. Randolph made the motion, seconded by Mr. Mackey, to postpone until the, postpone until the August meeting. Okay? All right, is everybody clear? All right, please vote on the motion that's on the floor. Motion carries. This is postponing until the August meeting.
Thank you.
I'll try and
Thank you.
answer your question quickly.
There's no sidewalks, there's only a narrow,
no,
one
no,
lane
sir.
each
No.
way.
Can we,
What about the runoff from the sewage going into wildlife management area?
This has nothing to do with
Not get into
anything.
this at all. Can we,
I just want to let you know that I live back there on Rose Street. That area they talking about there is way more than 40 acres.
okay, all right. We'll get with Councilman Belisario. If y'all need to have a community meeting, then he can set it up where you have plenty of area to have people. Thank you. Please exit the building.
So the original motion was withdrawn?
The original motion was withdrawn.
Please vacate the building for this case.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
You must take 5 minutes.
Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute recess so that the folks can clear the building.
I'd like to. I'm good. You got it.
All right, the next item is item 4, zoning case 13-06-042. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning A1 Suburban District, and manufactured housing overlay district. It's 40,000 square foot, came to us from Parish Council motion of 5-2. Parcel located on the north side of US 190 East, east of Red Mill Drive, being Lot 21, Old Fashion subdivision, and 249 Highway 190 East, and Slide L, Ward 8, District 13. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the area as conservation for the preservation of natural landscape. The lots along Highway 190 are for the most part developed with residential uses. Staff has no objection to the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the, did I hear? No, it's up to you. Do you wish to speak? We just need you to state your name and address, and if you can, fill out a speaker card, and if not, get one of the staff to help you.
All right, thank you. My name's Louis Segura III. I'm the owner of the property. I had a trailer on it before Katrina, and Katrina messed it up. And back in 08, 09, 010, I got the waiver to put a trailer on it, and that didn't happen. So I went to the permit department, and they said that I wanted to put a trailer on it now, like I had before, and they told me I couldn't put it because they had changed the zoning. So that's more or less. I just wanted to speak.
Right. All you're asking to do is have the zoning commission recommend the manufactured housing overlay for your particular lot, the 40,000 square feet.
Yes, sir. It's 1 acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Helen, will one of y'all help him fill out a speaker card?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, since this gentleman had a mobile home out there earlier, and this is just a mobile home overlay to let him have a replacement, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Pardon? No, I didn't vote. I hadn't. Motion carries. There is not a nay vote. Oh, okay. Got to watch the secretary here. All right, item 5, zoning case 13-06-043. Existing zoning TND1, traditional neighborhood district. The proposed zoning is I3, heavy industrial district. It's 100 acres. Petitioner Steve DeVerney, owner is Toby Lowe, parcel located on the south side of Louisiana Highway 36, east of Abita Airport, west of Louisiana 434, Ward 6, District 7. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with agricultural uses and as a conservation area. The site is surrounded by undeveloped land, A4, I1, and HC1. At this time, staff sees no compelling reason to recommend approval of the request to rezone to I3 Industrial District, considering that it would create a considerable increase in the intensity of the zoning of the area, and staff recommends denial.
Thank you. Mr. DeVerney.
Mr. Chairman, Steve DeVerney, representing the petitioner. I'd like to go ahead and hand out these aerial photos. I think it'll give you a pretty good idea about the property itself. And I'd like to hold my comments until everybody has a chance to see them, please.
Okay.
Is this the old grass farm?
Yes, sir.
Is this all of it or part of it?
It's part of it.
Part of it.
Yes, sir. It's the subject is 100 acres. It's shown in red.
believe we all have them now, Mr. Varney.
Okay, and as Mr. Hines was mentioned just a second ago, the subject property is 100 acres. It's part of what originally was a 361-acre parcel that was known as the side farm, probably for 30 years. It was cultivated, it's cleared. Again, it's been under cultivation for sod for probably 30 years. It's not in a flood zone, no wetlands, none of those issues that would typically affect an industrial type of a use. The property, as was mentioned in the comments, was, of course, it's very close to the Abita Airport. It's 800 feet off Highway 36, also known as Hickory Highway. The compelling reasons that we see for the zoning are, first of all, we're in the Abita Airport overlay area, which, of course, by itself would be a pretty good indication, at least to us, that this is not suitable, or it's a signal, at least for future development in the area, that there's a potential for that airport growing. But we're within the Abita Airport area, as is all the other zoning for classifications the staff mentioned in their comments. Everything within 14,200 linear feet on either side of that runway is within the airport overlay. So again, we've got a situation here where we've got a residential area, residentially zoned within an area that's clearly identified that may have a potential development, and we hope that in the parish, with all of our thoughts and efforts towards bringing jobs into the area, that there will be industry in there. And I really think if you're going to have industry anywhere in the parish, this is a great place for it. The site is pristine, it's cleared, it's drained. There's no, like I said, there's no wetlands, it's not in a flood zone, and there's no residential around it, at least in our opinion, that will ever be developed as residential, again, because of the airport overlay. The other compelling reasons, of course, is we have 262 acres immediately on two sides of our property. That's already zoned I-1. That was accomplished in 2009. The other compelling reason, of course, and before I get off of that, residential doesn't complement industry uses. Industry doesn't complement residential uses. And the other fact, of course, is that the only access to this property is down a right-of-way, 800 feet long, to our property, that would extend to the industrial zone property. So you have a situation here, residential in front of industrial, having to go through the residential to get to the industrial, and beyond that, we're in an airport overlay, which seems to indicate you probably shouldn't have residential in the first place. So again, those are what we feel are the compelling reasons that we'd like to see it zoned industrial. And of course, the question becomes, why I-3? You got I-1 next to you. The interest in this property has come to us through a couple of different sources. One being Don Che, the Director of Economic Development for the parish, and Brenda Wren Burtis, the Executive Director of the St. Tammany Economic Development Foundation. Both of them have come to us with people that have inquired about this piece because of those same amenities that we mentioned earlier. It's cleared, it's not impacting anything or anybody around it. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's away from everything. You don't drive past a home going to it. And anyway, the I-3, it was suggested to us that we request I-3 mainly because that is the largest size buildings allowable in the parish of I-3, 500,000 square feet. And that is a huge building. That's Folgers. And I think that's the kind of people we try and entice onto our area and into this property in particular. So anyway, that's kind of the reason behind it. We don't feel as though our zoning that we currently have is compatible to what's going on in the area now and in the future. We certainly have come up, at least we're looking at what appears to be an industrial movement in that area around the airport. We've seen it in Hammond. I think it's reasonable to assume at some point you'll see it in Slidell. So anyway, that's primarily why we're suggesting that this property would be better suited for an industrial use, much more so than residential. And with that, I'll entertain any questions anybody might have.
Okay, let me see if there's any opposition, Mr. Varney. Does anyone here in the audience wish to speak against? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Hines.
Yes, I'd just like to know what industry is looking to come into that area.
There's several. Now, we have not been involved in those discussions. The St. Tammany Parish maintains a data bank of all different commercial properties that are available. It's made available to anybody on a nationwide search for property in our area. Brenda Wren Burtis and both Don Shea have taken people out there just to see if they were interested in these properties, and they were. I don't have any insight as to what type of business it is or anything else. Again, these are people on a search looking for property. They've identified this. And I think it's fairly easy if you pull up any kind of a Google map. That property jumps out at you just from you know, it's pretty dominant on everything in that area. And again, there's nothing else around it. But to tell you that it's going to be Folgers or somebody, I can't. No, sir.
Okay, I was just curious. I thought maybe you had some clients that was looking at it. I didn't know.
Now,
So-
now again, though, I want to make the point, though, that this has come to us through the Economic Development and St. Tammany Economic Development Foundation. Has
The only
come
thing
to-
that scares me is I-3 is the most intense zoning in the parish.
I-4.
Oh, is it I-4 now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excuse me, it used to be I-3, so, okay, thank you.
Okay, Dale?
Mr. Verney, that I-1, excuse me, to the south and southwest, who owns that?
That's owned by 3 different ownerships. I don't have all of their names with me. But you can look it up easy enough. My client has a small undivided interest in that piece also, but Toby Lowe owns the subject piece 100% by himself.
Now, they're clearing a lot of ground out there for hangars, and they're widening the airport because the planes would be right now too close to the trees and stuff. I don't know how much expansion they're looking for in the future, but they are going to be heading east as opposed to west as they
It's interesting
grow.
you mention it, because if you look back on the comprehensive plan from 2025 plan, you'll see that they had proposed industrial going west, going east at least, excuse me. It's all going to the east. That was the original plan.
Well, that's all I have, thanks.
Mr. Matthews?
Yeah. Back with the comprehensive rezoning, the owner of this property evidently came to us and asked for a TND. That was like 3 years ago. Now you're abandoning the TND, and you asked for the TND when you knew the airport was right there. So you're talking about it's not compatible to have residential this close to the airport. But you had asked for that 3 years ago. The second thing is, yes.
Could I comment on that?
Yeah,
first of all?
sure.
Because there is a gap in here. Leon Lowe, Toby Lowe, sold the property to a major home builder, okay? They went out and came in and rezoned it. My client carried the financing on it. At some point, I don't know exactly when the airport overlay came in, if that had an impact on them, they decided to abandon the property. We took it back. And we're bringing it back into commerce as industrial. So it wasn't my client that made the request for the TND.
The owner, but the airport overlay was part of the comprehensive rezoning.
Yeah, and Ms. Life and I were talking about, I'm not exactly what came first, whether it was the zoning and then the overlay came in and
All at the same
affected,
time.
or was that the opposite?
All at the same time. Not at the same time. You're asking for an I-3. The adjacent property is I-1, which allows for I believe it's a 40,000 square foot.
Yes, sir.
I-2 is a 200,000 square foot. And you're asking for I-3, I guess, because it is a 500,000 square foot.
Yes, sir.
But I-3, as Mr. Hines pointed out, is not the most intense, but it's pretty much the most practical intense for this parish. The only other things that I-4 really has is an atomic plant, a sanitary landfill, and a chemical processing plant. You know, we're probably not going to have too many atomic plants in the parish, I wouldn't think. And with as much problems as we've had with landfill or anything like that, I doubt that that's going to happen. So I-3, for all practical purposes, is pretty much the most intense thing that could be in the parish. And this talks about grain elevators, natural gas gathering plants, petroleum refineries. That's awful intense for any place in this parish. I think the I-2 is probably more like what you ought to be looking for instead of I-3, considering that's right next to I-1, and there is A4 right next to this. Whether that A4 someday should be changed or not, that may not be, but right now it's A4. And I just have a hard time putting I3 next to A4. I1 is a little difficult to deal with next to A4, but I3 is just off my charts anyway. Go ahead.
My question would be, in that case, and again, getting back to Mr. Lauren, I think, asked a question on Mr. Hines, I forget now, about the intended use and who it might be. We don't know. I mean, we're getting input from people that are talking to other major companies outside our area who are looking for large buildings, okay? If your suggestion is that we amend our application to I-2 this evening, I mean, if that would be looked upon favorably, I don't have a problem with it.
By me, it would. And let me tell you, we're not supposed to make our decisions based upon what type of business may or may not move in there, because those things change.
Right, exactly.
Our focus is supposed to be what's the proper land use for that property as a whole, not because it's going to be Folgers Coffee or Joe's Auto or whatever. And it doesn't make any difference to me who is going to be maybe buying the property. It's whether this should be I3 or not. And if you're willing to amend it to I2, I would make a motion to approve that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
That'd
so
be fine.
You're making
Yes,
that
sir.
motion
I'll
to
make that
amend
amendment.
on behalf
Yes.
of the owner. Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to change the proposed zoning on zoning case 13-06-043 from the requested I3 to now I2, and it's 100 acres. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Carter.
much.
Item 6, zoning case 13-06-044, existing zoning PF2, which is Public Facilities District, proposed zoning A1 Suburban District. It's .54 acres. This comes to us from Parish Council Motion 4-4. Parcel located on the east side of Lake Road, south of Eleanor Drive, Ward 7, District 7. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be used for conservation. The zoning change is being requested to allow for a single-family residence to be constructed on the site. Staff does not object to the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Members of the commission, Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner. This matter was instituted by Councilman Groby as a result of what he deemed to be an error as a result of the comprehensive process, not realizing that this was residential property already, and I believe that the line of demarcation between the PF2 and the A1 actually cuts a portion of the property out from the owner. The owner has been working with the parish for some time in an effort to get a building permit. This was discovered during that process, which led to the institution of the corrective action, which brings us here today. So we would respectfully request your approval of the change in zoning so that the owner's property can have but one zone, and it would be residential and could come back into use.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this case? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Bug?
I make a motion to approve the.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7 was postponed. Item 8, zoning case 05-12-076. It's a major amendment to a PUD, Plan Unit Development overlay. It's 50.71 acres. The petitioner, Steve DeVerney. Owner's Oakley Place subdivision, parcel located on the north and east side of Abney Farm Road, east of Robert Road, Ward 8, District 9. Staff?
A residential subdivision of 77 single-family residences and 34 garden home units was originally proposed to be developed on the site. At this time, only the first phase of the subdivision has been completed with a total of 28 single-family residential lots. A revised plan has been submitted showing the remaining portion of the subdivision to be developed with a total of 91 single-family lots, resulting in a complete removal of the originally proposed 34 garden homes. The amendment will trigger an increase in the total number of lots from 111 to 119 lots. The density will also slightly increase from 2 to 2.369 lots per acre, which includes the 28 lots of Oakley Place and the 91 proposed lots for Berkshire. Note that the existing 28 residences will remain part of Oakley Place and the remaining portion of the PUD will be developed under the name of Berkshire Subdivision. Both subdivisions will share the same covenants and green space area. The staff recommends that the request for the major amendment to the PUD be approved. However, with this stipulation, and I invite you to look at the plan just to see which additional stipulation you would like to add. Staff would like to suggest to have a trail that would connect the two area in a corner where you see the workout station, as well as between lot 82 and 83, just to make connection with the existing trail. And with that, staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. DeVerney.
Mr. Chairman, Steve DeVerney, representing the owners. As Helen mentioned, this PUD was originally approved in March of 2006. First phase was 28 lots. The plat was recorded August 2007. It was 28 lots. As I'm sure most of y'all recall, the real estate industry was in the doldrums shortly thereafter. The original developers were able to liquidate those 28 lots, but circumstances were such that they were not going to be able to proceed with the balance of the plan. One of the things that impacted them dramatically, and all of us in the development industry, is the cost of wetlands mitigation. The property was brought to me, the project. I suggested to the new owners that we needed to redesign the project to avoid as much wetlands as possible and come up with a sufficient number of lots to make it feasible. With that, the original plan impacted 17 acres. The new plan impacts only 6. The other thing we were able to do was increase the green space. Berkshire by itself, and we called it a different name just so that the people would understand that we have different ownership and didn't want to get any involvement with the previous development, although, as Helen mentions in her comments, that the restrictions are exactly the same. The people who live in Oakley Place, Phase 1, have the full benefit of whatever amenities there are developed in Berkshire and vice versa. House sizes, everything else is exactly the same, different ownerships. Berkshire's green space is 39%, and together with Oakley Place, the green space they have now, we're still well in excess of the minimum. We're at 33.8 green space. So we were able to come up with a plan that was much more sensitive to the environment and give people what we feel is a better product. And it's more in line with what was already developed in Phase 1, which sold out even during tough times. So anyway, with that, we appreciate staff's recommendation for approval, and we're here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. DeVerney. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close. Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name. And if you haven't filled out a speaker card, please do so.
Not a problem. Tony Kuhn. I'm a resident of Oakley Place. I just wanted to get some more information on it. I'm not for or against it at this point, but just would like a plan just to see what's going on.
Okay.
This Berkshire, is this further, is this in the Oakley Place currently?
You're right, yeah. This is where the dead end is, right at the end of the boulevard, okay?
Okay.
And it's very similar in style, except the original plan.
Was to go this way, would it?
No, that's all it ever was. That's all it was ever. But you may recall there was a lot more activity in the wetlands and less green space.
Sure.
And if you're familiar with the property, you know the trails we're speaking of. This is the old Abney Farm property, Abney family property, and there's been trails in there for 50 years. And together with the Corps, it was decided that we could incorporate that into what we were doing already. It predated any kind of wetlands legislation or whatever. But anyway. This is what's been developed.
Sure.
That's the same piece.
Is this made to the public, this,
Yeah, you're
this
welcome.
document?
Yeah.
You have a smaller copy of this?
You're welcome to anything? Yeah.
All right,
You can take that one.
that's it.
I'll give you some more.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
Yeah, this is an entirely new subdivision from Oakley Place. Is that correct?
No, sir. No, when they did Oakley, of course, it's a PUD, and you have PUD overlaying zoning for the whole piece. So that property had that zoning in place regardless of whoever owned it. Okay, well, we came in and said we'd like to buy the balance of Oakley is not developed. And so that's the purpose why we had to come in with a major amendment to the PUD, because we changed the street layouts, and we're adding green space, and, you know, we've changed the plat a good bit. But again, the overlaying zoning is there regardless of who owned it. So, I mean, it's all the same original property, it's a different design, and it's different ownership.
All right, but I'm confused at how you can have different ownership and still be the same subdivision,
Well, it's not, that's why we're calling it Berkshire.
because it's a new subdivision.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, it's all under the original PUD, Oakley PUD zoning. I mean, maybe I'm not calling it exactly right, but I mean, if you look up the zoning, it's a PUD for the whole thing, and it was, the original zoning was for Oakley Place as a PUD.
Okay, but now we have two subdivisions, and they're going to share the same green space. I'm confused with that. How do two different subdivisions share the same green space? Helen, how does that work?
It's on the plat. It's on the plat for one thing. That was a requirement that Helen made. We had to put it on the plat that the restrictions are the same and that they could use our green space.
Well, restrictions,
Oh,
I mean, the subdivision restrictions for lots of subdivisions are exactly the same. So that doesn't make anything, but I'm concerned about the green space. How can two subdivisions share the same green space? Helen, maybe you can enlighten me. I'm confused. I don't understand that.
It was originally one subdivision. Basically, they're gonna have two names, but they're sharing, the total, the 25% is met with both subdivision.
But if there's a third subdivision
But
half a mile away from here, can they share the same green space?
No, but that's the totally different situation if they would be half a mile away. Now you're talking about, it was all originally zoned PUD. It was part of one subdivision. Now it's gonna have two names, but with the
It's still
agreement.
the same PUD?
It's still a PUD, it's still the same PUD. It's still a PUD. The only thing that they're asking is to use two separate names, but they're using the same amenities and they're meeting the 25% of green space, and they're gonna use the same covenants. And this is very clearly stipulated on the plat. I had multiple discussions with Mr. DeVerney to make sure that we were on the same
Well,
page about that.
I understand that it's written down someplace on the plat, but my confusion was with two different subdivisions sharing green space. But you say because it is one PUD, if we break this up into 10 different names and 10 completely different subdivisions, because it's all within the same area designated as a PUD, then we can all share that same green space?
It was originally a PUD. It was already approved as a PUD. So basically now we just have two separate names. And I see legal counsel shaking his head positively, but I'll be more than happy to request his comments.
Terry?
Yeah, I think that it's quite possible, so long as they maintain all of the requirements of the PUD, the original PUD, which they are. It's like, almost like phases.
Right.
And you may name, like in Greenleaf, you have different phases with different names. This is a different name and a different development, not development, but they're requesting a lot configuration that is different from what was originally submitted in that PUD.
I understand that. That's all I have.
Okay, Pug?
Helen, the walk space you were talking about, or you all were talking about, that's between lots 82 and 83?
That's between lots 82 and 83, as well as to connect that green space area that is in the corner. You see the green space area that says workout station in it, to connect it to the trail.
All right.
Mr. Hines?
Mr. DeVerney, do you have any problem with
No, not all.
doing those?
No, and where that came about, when you look at the drawing,
The ones I've got is so damn small, you can't see it.
these trails are in here already. And you notice they're not located by survey yet.
But they're saying,
Come through here and through here, connect them,
okay,
that's all.
okay,
They're just floating out there right now.
okay.
Mr. Hines?
Mr. Chairman, my question is where is the ingress and egress from this? Are you going through Oakley Place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna use that one entrance to Oakley?
It's always been the plan.
Okay.
And
Now,
again,
when you go into Oakley Place and you go all the way around bearing to the right, all the way around, there's a cul-de-sac back there.
Yes, sir.
And there's a road that goes back in there off of that cul-de-sac. Is that what you're talking about?
No, sir. That road is, the original owners of this property, well, let me go back. There was a parcel of property next to the Abney piece that these people were using access across the Abney property to get to. If you go look at it, it's not really an improved road, but there's a structure back there. We just, because they were there, we just allowed them to use it. But Oakley Place is a complete loop in and out and back down Abney Farm Road.
That's all I have. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion it be approved.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Mr. Willie?
I just got one more question. Being that the configuration's changing and the density is changing, would this have to come back before the planning process?
I'm sorry. Well, of course, we're gonna have to go through here. The next step, of course, is our tentative
So
review
you're
anyway.
okay,
You're gonna get
go
to
through-
see this pretty quick, because nothing's gonna change on this, other than maybe some timetables for when the amenities get put in and that sort of thing.
Okay. Mr. Willie? All right, we have a motion and a second. I don't see any more lights on. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Plan review cases, applications requiring review and approval of site plans along a planned corridor district by the zoning commissioner are as follows. Item 1, plan review 13-04-001, retail building. The corridor is retail building, zoning is NC4 neighborhood institutional district. Use size is 2,041 square feet. The petitioner is Rod Rodriguez. The owners are Andres and Jennifer Antzolis. Parcel located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 21, south of Arbor Walk Drive, north of Dummy Line Road, being 339 Highway 21, Covington, Ward 1, District 1. This was postponed from the 5/7 meeting. Staff?
This is a proposed 2,041 square foot retail building on a 0.3 acre parcel, and I was originally presented to you in April. The petitioner owner provided a revised plan, and we would like to recommend approval with a requested waiver considering the small size of the property.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Please come forward, state your name, address, and fill out a speaker card, please.
Sandra Slifer, 116 Tulip Drive, Covington, that we have not seen the revision that the AOA did meet regarding the original proposal, and that it was unanimous, that there were way too many gaps in terms of the information that was provided, and that the precedent that this would set in terms of not having the amount of buffer in the front, that there was no landscaping plan, they never did. We tried to contact them to come and talk with us and meet with us, and they never did. So, the AOA was very, very much against this, that we didn't see any reason. It was just too big of a project for such a tiny space, and it was backing up to residential that, but and again, we have not seen that new plan that is being proposed, Helen, but, the fact that the petitioner didn't ever respond to any of our requests to, even come and meet with us at all about this. And we have been going through a transition since Mr. Wilkie is no longer living in that Highway 21 corridor area. So, if Rick received that information, he didn't, he was in the midst of moving, to, an area further south and still in St. Tammany. So you'll still see him perhaps, but.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just as a point of clarification, the plan has not changed from the original plan that was submitted. The only thing that staff was requesting is to get the caliper of the existing trees to be able to do a tree count. However, the plan is the same. Yeah, this is what you saw last month, is that we were not able to establish, to give credits for the trees, but it's exactly the same plan. They just had some details missing. As you can see on the staff report, they're requesting a list of variances because of the small size of the property.
Well, like I said, AOA is against it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this in the audience? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Bug.
I'll try to be brief, but in the sake of clarity, let me go back. Highway 21 from Madisonville up to the bridge going across to the hospital in St. Tammany Parish is one of 2 or 3 roads in the parish that have been designated planned corridor overlay. Is that correct, Helen?
Currently, Highway 21 is the only planned corridor overlay.
Okay. And if you go all the way down from Keith Young Steakhouse, all the way up past the new Winn-Dixie and all of that stuff up through there, as each one of those developers came before the zoning commission and the planning commission, many of these people made requests to encroach into the 100-foot setback that's required under the planned corridor overlay. The Sterling Shopping Center, which is now called Riverside, I think, as big as that development is, they had fewer requests for deviations than this one little 0.3 acres of ground. If you take this particular piece of ground, 0.3 acres, and if they conform to the 100-foot setback from the highway and the setbacks on the side and the setback on the rear, the building could be 8 feet deep. And yet they're proposing to put a 2,100-foot commercial place on a strip of property that there is no commercial between the Sterling Shopping Center and Keith Young Steakhouse. This is the 4th month that this particular item has been on the agenda. And we've tabled it 3 times. So with that background, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion to deny and a second by Mr. Matthews. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Okay, so it's 9-0.
Okay, the vote will be 9-0. Mr. Hines hit the wrong button. All right, thank you. Page 3, Plan Review 13-06-002. We have a restaurant corridors, Highway 21 Plan Corridor Overlay. The zoning's HC2 Highway Commercial District. Use size is 6,232 square feet. The petitioner is Robert L. Congelosi, Jr. Owner is CP Nordelac JV LLC, parcel located on the southeast corner, Louisiana Highway 21 and Pinnacle Parkway, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
Petitioner is proposing a new restaurant at Highway 21 and Pinnacle Parkway. A site plan has been submitted. A new site plan has been submitted. Hopefully most of you have received the revised site plan through email. We also distributed a copy to you today. The The staff is in favor of the request variance to reduce the front green space from 52 to 50 feet. And at this time, would like to recommend approval of this proposal, subject to all the required conditions listed below.
Thank you. Yes, sir, you wish to speak?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'm Robbie Cangelosi with SJB Group in Baton Rouge. We're the civil engineers for the project. I'm primarily here to answer any questions, but on behalf of Brinker International, the owner of the Chili's restaurant, they do accept all conditions. There were 4 conditions of development that we do accept. The rest of the items were plan changes, which we made. Obviously, staff hadn't had a chance to review the plans to confirm that the changes that were requested were made. But I'm here for any questions. And Helen, I don't know if you need my card or not.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Any commissioner wish to speak on this? Mr. Matthews.
Yes, sir. Would you come up, sir? Cangelosi?
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. One, why are we reducing the green space 2 feet? What's the importance of that?
I think it's just based on the way it was platted. There's just a small limitation up against Highway 21, and there's a massive amount of green space between the right-of-way and the actual street.
Okay. Helen, are we incorporating that green space someplace else, or what?
They're actually providing additional green space on the corner. If you see, if you look at the site plan, and if you look where it says 20-foot setback and 50-foot setback, you have a little corner here where they're providing that extra
Additional green space.
additional green
Okay.
space.
Is this going to come back to planning before they move forward on this, or not?
No, sir.
Okay. Why have we not been provided with a monument sign plan?
There will not be a monument sign.
There will not be a monument sign.
That is correct.
Good reason for not having it. Based upon that, I move to approve.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is old business. I don't believe we have any. New business, I believe Mr. Matthews has an item he wants to bring up under new business.
Yes.
Bill?
I think at the last zoning meeting, we had a rural overlay problem where the lady wanted to put a kennel on a piece of property in a rural overlay. I've done some further discussions. I've talked to a couple of councilmen. I've talked to a friend of mine who does a lot of real estate work, and it is a question, a very serious question, as to whether there really is a provision for a kennel in a rural overlay. It's a very simple fix. What we need to do is ask the staff to investigate adding kennel to the permitted uses in rural overlay. That will take care of this lady's problem and anybody else's problem. We've got a few people that have kennels in rural overlays, and the concern is that if somebody builds a house next to it and doesn't like the kennel and they want to run it off, I think they have a pretty good opportunity to do that under the current code. So I'd like to move that we ask the staff to investigate and come back to us maybe in August with a plan to add kennels to the permitted uses in rural overlays.
Mr. Chairman, if I may answer the question. I've discussed the issue with Mr. Fontenot, and we know we will move forward to, bring up a text change in front of you, shortly. So this is something that we've put on our list to improve, and, shortly you should see something coming in front of you.
Do you think we could have that by August?
We'll do our best, sir.
Okay, because if it gets put off, a lot of things get
Absolutely.
through the crack. It's not you all, it's everybody.
Absolutely.
And we'll forget about it too, and I don't think we should do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you want to proceed with
Yes, I think we made a motion to ask the staff to come back with a proposal at the August meeting. And if they can't, they'll come back and ask for more time, I guess.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the resolution to ask staff to amend the rural overlay by adding kennel in there. Helen, I don't know, where does commercial kennels fall in on this? Is there a certain number of animals that a person must keep in order to have a commercial, or?
That would be part of their recommendation, I would hope.
Well, actually, we'll be working with animal services and see, what the best language will be, so we can work hands in hands and be able to
You're
work
going
on
to have
it.
all the answers then, aren't you?
Again.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Mr. Mackey? Turn your back on that.
There we go. Thought I'd skip out on this. Yeah, I want to thank you for giving me a minute to say goodbye to all of y'all. As you know, I've tendered my resignation and from the commission. It's been a good ride for the last 11 years, but outside responsibilities really have cut into ability to make the meetings and to give proper attention to all the work prior to the meeting. I want to just say that I appreciate the council for appointing me and reappointing me. And I want to say to all of you, including staff, how important the work is that we do, and that has really made this job interesting, really has. And I know I'll miss working with you all, but I feel very confident that this commission and with staff there is in good hands. And just want to say thanks and goodbye.
Thank you, Dale. And we appreciate all the hard work, and we certainly understand whenever there are things that come up that need to be handled and take away time for something like this. Does any other commissioner wish to say anything? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mackey. Motion to adjourn. Thank you.